Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy? Sports and Fitness Rants. I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, man. Got another great video for you guys today. As usual, you guys know the deal on this channel. It's all about setting the record straight, stopping the lies, stopping the narratives, stopping them from rewriting history, guys, and holding the standard. And in this video, I want to talk about a top 5 list at each position of all time. I saw this list on social media, and I told you guys sometimes, scrolling through social media could be bad for your health, guys. It could really be bad for your brain. And this is why I tell you that, my videos are for educational purposes. And I think in this video, we must educate, this person. I don't know who this was, or, I don't remember what page it was from or anything like that. This is I think I saw it on Instagram, I want to say. And it was a top 5 list of the top 5 players at each position in NBA's history. And I want to speak on this list and touch on a couple of the guys that were on this list that have no business being on this list, a top 5 at each position, guys. And it's not necessarily the order that I care about. It's about the players that are actually on the list. And we're going to talk about this video. And I want to thank you guys, everyone across the world, everyone across the states has been supporting my channel. Once again, guys, I am truly, truly humble. Shout out to everybody in the membership, man. Thank you very much to all you guys. Like I said, man, it's truly humbling. Shout out to my man, CP. Who came through with the super thanks. Thank you very much to CP, man. Your message is very heartfelt, man. Thank you very much. Like I said, you guys are true supporters of my channel, man. The true basketball fans. So thank you. Shout out to CP and everyone else, man. Thank you, guys. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So, yes, guys, like I said, man, I wanted to do a video and educate, or do some educating on a top 5 at each position that I saw. Now, there's a top 5 players of all time at each position, right? So the point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and centers. Like I said, it's not important, where I saw this, like the page that I said. That's not really important. I'm not trying to, like I said, tear down this site or this channel or page or whatever it was. I just feel like I said I need to educate in this video because some of the guys that were on this list have no business to me being on this list. And I've told you guys, we all have opinions on stuff, but your opinion must be backed with facts, right? There must be some evidence that you can give to support your opinions, or your opinion's not worth a damn, right? So, like I said, this is what my opinion is on these guys that they have on the list. Like I said, and the order is not necessarily important. It's mostly the names that are on here that to me should not be on here. Now, I don't have a problem with the centers. All right, and I'm going to read off the names here for the centers. Like I told you, the order is whatever, you know what I'm saying? But as long as the names are right, I guess that's the main thing here. So, on this list, the top 5 centers of all time, they have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at number 1, Shaquille O'Neal at number 2, Wilt Chamberlain at number 3, Bill Russell at number 4, and Hakeem Olajuwon at number 5. Now, to me, those are probably the top 5 centers of all time. You can argue Shaquille O'Neal and Moses Malone. Like I said, you could argue that Moses Malone should be a top 5 center. There are a lot of people that have Moses Malone as a top 5 center. The thing to me about this list, like I said, I don't mind these guys on the list. To me, those are probably the top 5 centers of all time. My problem is the order with the centers. And like I said, not that serious, that order. But to me, I don't think Shaquille O'Neal is the second greatest center of all time. I just don't see how you can push Shaquille O'Neal above Hakeem Olajuwon. I just don't see how you can do that. I don't see any reality. Like I said, I watched these guys in the 90s. I just don't see how Shaquille O'Neal was greater than Hakeem Olajuwon. Like I said, the two-way play of Olajuwon is much superior to Shaquille O'Neal's. The rebounding, the defense. Shaquille O'Neal never led the league in rebounds, never led the league in blocked shots. And I'm not saying that Shaquille O'Neal was a bad rebounder, but he wasn't elite. And for his size, this man should have several rebounding titles. But he never did. Like I said, so for me, Hakeem Olajuwon's clearly greater than Shaquille O'Neal. Those 2 championships that Hakeem Olajuwon led the Rockets to were very impressive. Once again, Hakeem Olajuwon played in an era playing against some of the greatest centers. He went against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He went against Moses Malone. He went against David Robinson and Patrick Ewing. He went against Shaquille O'Neal, right? He went against all these guys. And Olajuwon, to me, came out on top more often than not when he went against a lot of these guys. So I'm putting Hakeem Olajuwon above Shaq easily. To me, Wilt Chamberlain is way, to me, Wilt Chamberlain should be number 1. Bill Russell should be number 2. That's just me, but whatever. Now, let's think about, I'm trying to think, the point guard position, because I didn't really have any problem with the point guard position either, with the guys that are on this list. So, and the point guard position, the top 5 point guards of all time, this person has Magic Johnson at number 1, Steph Curry at number 2, Oscar Robertson at number 3, Isaiah Thomas at number 4, and John Stockton at number 5. That's a pretty solid list. Like I said, we don't really, like when you think about point guards, the point guard position, to me, Steph Curry, I think we all agree, he's not really a point guard. He's not a traditional point guard. So if we're just talking about strictly point guard play, Steph Curry's not the second greatest point guard of all time. But as far as all time and him playing the point guard position, right, then yes, I don't have any problem with someone putting Steph Curry as the second greatest point guard of all time. But if we're just talking about like strict point guard play, I don't think Steph Curry's the top 5 point guard of all time. I would put someone like Jason Kidd above him as far as point guard play. Bob Cousy, some of these guys ahead of him in point guard play. Not saying they're greater players, but as far as point guard play. But this list is great. Oscar Robertson, Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry. I mean, we can't really go wrong with the names on that list. Like I said, you can argue Jason Kidd maybe in there. You can argue maybe Bob Cousy in there. To me, like I said, that's pretty much where, you might have some division. I don't know, people, maybe a Walt Clyde Frazier or something like that. But to me, those guys are good. Now, the problem I have is with the shooting guards, the small forwards, and the power forwards. Not so much with the power forwards, but the shooting guards and the small forwards, we got to talk about this. So let's go over the power forwards real quick. Power forwards, they got Tim Duncan, number 1, Karl Malone, number 2, Dirk Nowitzki, number 3, Kevin Garnett, number 4, Charles Barkley, number 5. Now, I would not have this order. To me, Dirk Nowitzki is not a top 5 power forward of all time. Once again, if you have him there, great. Dirk Nowitzki's great. But I would not put Dirk Nowitzki above Kevin Garnett. I don't know how you put Dirk Nowitzki above Kevin Garnett. I just don't see it. Once again, the two-way play of Kevin Garnett, rebounding, defense, intensity. To me, Kevin Garnett was much superior. Playmaking, give me Kevin Garnett's playmaking, passing ability over Dirk Nowitzki's. Now, shooting the ball, Dirk Nowitzki might be the greatest shooting power forward of all time. Perhaps. I'm not going to argue with that. But I can't put Dirk Nowitzki above Kevin Garnett. Also, I'm not putting Dirk Nowitzki above Charles Barkley. And I know maybe some of you guys want to agree with me on that one. I'm not putting Dirk Nowitzki above Charles Barkley. And I get it. Charles Barkley never won a championship. Dirk Nowitzki's run in 2011 was epic, man, right? Just literally really did a lot for his career. Really enhanced his career. And I feel like it enhanced it a little bit too much sometimes. We get a little bit too carried away with the Dirk Nowitzki championship. And I get it, man. Once again, it's more so that we are impressed that he embarrassed LeBron James more so than Dirk Nowitzki. Because let's be real, if LeBron James played like LeBron James in that finals, didn't choke it up, the Miami Heat handily win that series. They handily win it. But that was part of the problem. Dirk Nowitzki did not choke. He rose his level of play, and LeBron James went downhill. He couldn't rise up with Dirk Nowitzki. So I get all of that, but I'm not putting Dirk Nowitzki above Charles Barkley. So Tim Duncan, Karl Malone, to me, I'd probably put Barkley above Malone. But that's just me being a little bit biased. I think I told you guys, Charles Barkley, one of my favorite players in the 90s. But to me, Charles Barkley's athleticism is underrated. Charles Barkley, from about 1987 to about 1993, that like 5-6 year window there, this dude was insane. I mean, insane. The rebounding of Charles Barkley, the way he could get up and down the court. He had decent handles too, Charles Barkley. Like I said, those early years of Charles Barkley, like I said, man, he was a solid defensive player. Not really good or great, but he was solid, man, on defense, because he was, like I said, a down low presence down there with his rebounding. It helped his defensive presence. So to me, the guys that are on the list are not bad. I don't like the order. Dirk, to me, like I said, I would probably put Bob Pettit in here somewhere. I would probably have Duncan, Barkley, Malone, Kevin Garnett, and then maybe Bob Pettit, or maybe Bob Pettit, then Kevin Garnett, something like that. I would probably do. But overall, good list. You know what I'm saying? Not really knocking the list or the guys that are on it. Like I said, I just wouldn't have the order that way. But whatever, they're great players. Now, when we get to the shooting guard and small forward, this is where things get out of control. And I knew this is where things were going to get out of control. It's always the shooting guards and the small forwards, I feel like, that people don't really get it. Or they don't know the historical perspectives, so to speak. So let's start with the shooting guards here. Obviously, 1 and 2 are always easy. No one really gets those wrong. Jordan, Kobe. All right, we get it. But this is where things get a little out of control. They got Dwayne Wade, number 3. Now, I don't really necessarily have a problem with Dwayne Wade being in a top 5 shooting guards list of all time. But to me, so let's go. They have Jordan, Kobe, Wade, Iverson, and Harden. Now, you know how I feel about James Harden. There's no way in hell James Harden is a top 5 shooting guard of all time, man. And like I said, when you put James Harden on this list, like I said, you're really exposing yourself as not really knowing the historical context or the history of the game. Because let's be real, when it comes to the point guard position, a lot of people understand Magic Johnson. They understand Isaiah Thomas, the Oscar Robertsons, right? They understand these guys. So you'll see them on lists often. When you talk about the center position, people understand Wilt Chamberlain. They understand Bill Russell. They understand Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They understand these guys. So you'll often see them on these lists. But for some reason, when we get to the shooting guards, the small forwards, even the power forwards, you see Bob Pettit was not on this list. It's almost like I said, they don't know. They're not aware. Maybe people don't mention these guys much. I don't know. So for me, when we think about the shooting guard position, Jordan, Kobe, 1 and 2, we all know that's a mainstay. I don't really see anybody passing those guys up anytime soon. Dwayne Wade, to me, could be top 5. I'm not putting him 3. I've told you guys, I've done these lists before, I feel like, or I've talked about this before. I'm going with Jerry West. Now, I know Jerry West is, borderline point guard or a shooting guard. To me, he's a shooting guard. And I'm going with Jerry West at number 3 all time on the shooting guards list. To me, Jerry West, two-way play was greater than Dwayne Wade. To me, Jerry West was a greater scorer than Dwayne Wade. He was a greater shooter than Dwayne Wade. Jerry West never led the league in scoring, but I think maybe once in his career. And once again, we think about this. Why was that? You're playing in the era with Wilt Chamberlain. You're playing in the era with Oscar Robertson. You're playing in the era with guys like Elgin Baylor, guys like Bob Pettit. These are some of the greatest scorers in the history of the game. Jerry West is one of those guys. Averaged 27 points a game for his career, which I believe is like top 3 or top 5 all time. And like I said, the two-way play, Jerry West on the defensive end is very underrated. Let's not forget that Jerry West did not have the luxury of having all defensive teams like the first, 7, 8 years of his career. And the man still accumulated 7, 8 all defensive teams. I mean, it's insane what Jerry West could do. And shooting the ball, much superior shooter than Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was a greater athlete. And like I said, his 2006 championship run was special, man. But I'm putting Jerry West over Dwayne Wade here. Then I would probably put Dwayne Wade number 4. And then I would probably have Clyde Drexler, guys. That would probably be where I would go with it. Allen Iverson, to me, yeah, you could maybe argue he's a top 5 shooting guard. I just don't see it, though. Maybe he's 6 or 7 to me, maybe. Somewhere around there. Because let's be honest here, guys. They have James Harden here. James Harden, to me, is, I told you, I don't even think James Harden's a top 10 shooting guard of all time. What has James Harden done? See, that MVP trophy for James Harden, I think really, it enhances his career, falsely. I don't really buy it. I just don't see James Harden as a top 5 shooting guard, guys. So for me, like I said, I'll probably go Jordan, Kobe, West, Wade, Drexler. But if you went Iverson over Drexler, whatever. I don't see it. But to me, Drexler is the greatest, probably offensive rebounding shooting guard of all time. A high flyer, one of the great scorers. And there was a solid defender, Clyde Drexler. Never been all defensive team, but that's mostly because of the era that he played in. You're going against Michael Jordan, Gary Payton, Sidney Moncrief, Alvin Robertson, Michael Cooper. These are all the guards that are getting all defensive selections during the time that Clyde Drexler played. These are some of the greatest defenders of all time, guys. So it's hard for Clyde Drexler to crack a, all defensive team at the guard position when these are some of the guys in your competition. So to me, Clyde Drexler is probably number 5. But then after him, like I said, you could go Iverson. You could go Reggie Miller. You could go George Gervin, Iceman Gervin. A lot of people forget about Iceman Gervin. He can argue he's a top 5 shooting guard of all time. One of the great scorers in the history of the game. The guy could score with ease. Go look at how many times George Gervin led the league in scoring. Like I said, while shooting 50%. I mean, this man was just a great scorer, man. He could put the ball in the hole, The knock on George Gervin is, like I said, he wasn't really known for winning games or a defensive player or anything like that. But the man could just flat out score the basketball, man, with the best in him. But like I said, you have guys like Reggie Miller, George Gervin, the Ray Allens at this position. Tracy McGrady, some of these shooting guards, Sam Jones. To me, these are some of the shooting guards that we're talking about here that would be coming up next. I would definitely have above James Harden. James Harden? Nah, I don't see it, guys. Once again, these are the facts to me. James Harden's nowhere near. Now, let's go to the small forward position here. Because once again, things get a little weird here, too. And we knew anything with LeBron James is going to get weird. So they got LeBron James number 1. Okay, we get it. Larry Bird number 2. Kevin Durant number 3. Julius Erving number 4. And Kawhi Leonard number 5. Kawhi Leonard? Kevin Durant, top 3 small forward of all time? That's a laugher to me. A laugher. Now, we all know I do not have LeBron James #1 all time. You guys know my top 5 small forwards list. I've done, like I said, it's crazy. I don't understand how you can put LeBron James above Larry Bird. I just don't see it. Like, what does LeBron James do better than Larry Bird, guys? He doesn't do anything better than Larry Bird. Can't shoot like Larry Bird. He doesn't have the overall offensive game of Larry Bird. Can't rebound like Larry Bird. Don't play make like Larry Bird. To me, Larry Bird's a much better playmaker and passer than LeBron James, because LeBron James is very sloppy with his passes, very inconsistent with his passes. Larry Bird, to me, is more precise, more crisp, more on the money, more spectacular. Like I said, Larry Bird got the better intangibles than LeBron James. The leadership, the heart, the grit, right? On defense, Larry Bird gave more effort. He was a better team defender on defense. So to me, there's none that LeBron James does better than Larry Bird. I just don't see it. Maybe he stands around better than Larry Bird. He walks off the court early better than Larry Bird. He flops better than Larry Bird. Blows on his hands better than Larry Bird. But that's where it begins and ends. So I'm not putting LeBron James ever above Larry Bird. You also know I have Dr. J #2 all time. Like I said, you could argue Dr. J is the greatest small forward of all time. I know people out there that have Dr. J as the greatest player of all time, because Dr. J's iconic and what he meant to the game. The impact he had on the game, guys, cannot be denied. To me, Dr. J is a Mount Rushmore player, because the icon that he was on and off the court, what he meant to the people, to the game. That's Dr. J, man. So I got Dr. J #2. Once again, not just because of he's iconic, the Duke of Ball. The dude was a much greater rebounder than LeBron James. To me, he was a much better shot blocker, a more consistent defender than LeBron James. To me, he was better finishing above or under the rim than LeBron James. Can LeBron James maybe shoot a little bit better than Dr. J? I don't know about that, guys. I might give the edge, probably give the edge Dr. J shooting the basketball. All right? So for me, if you want to say LeBron James is a better playmaker or passer than Dr. J, okay. But really, what is that saying? Not saying really much of anything. Because to me, Dr. J just did all these other things better at a higher level. Like I said, he had the intangibles also over LeBron James. Leadership, right? The hustle that we talked about, right? Just the honor, the class, the respect that he earned. To me, Dr. J was a much greater leader than LeBron James, man. So I'm putting him 2. Then I'd have LeBron James 3. Then I would have John Havlicek #4 and Elgin Baylor. They didn't even have John Havlicek or Elgin Baylor on the list, but you have Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard. Once again, if you said Kawhi Leonard peak, Kawhi Leonard at his best, right? Just peak Kawhi Leonard in that, like I said, a 3-year window there from like 2014 to 2017, before he got taken out by Zaza Pachulia. If you told me the peak of Kawhi Leonard is a top 5 peak, maybe we could make that argument. Maybe. But there's no way you can take the totality of Kawhi Leonard's career and put him in a top 5. You just can't justify it. The man's missed way too many games to be a top 5 small forward of all time. It's just not fair to guys like Havlicek and Baylor, who was showing up every night in a much tougher era, guys, going through much tougher conditions. Like I said, these guys didn't have an easier life. The world wasn't easier back then. I told you, Elgin Baylor was in the Army during his playing career. John Havlicek, this guy was on the court playing like 43 minutes a night, not load managing like Kawhi Leonard. So I can't put Kawhi Leonard top 5. He just hasn't done enough his totality of his career. I just can't do it. Like I said, I don't even know if I can put Kawhi Leonard top 10 because of all the games that he's missed. Like I said, if you told me the peak of Kawhi Leonard, yeah, the dude was sensational. I told you, Kawhi Leonard had the potential to be a top 10 all-time player with the way that he could do things on both sides of the ball, the impact that he had. Kawhi Leonard, though, missing the intangibles of a lot of these other great players. Havlicek, Elgin Baylor. To me, those are the top 5 guys. Kevin Durant ain't no top 5 small forward, man. Once again, Kevin Durant gets hyped up off of how people feel about him than the actual footage, what he actually does on the court. And Kevin Durant has been exposed heavily since he left Golden State. This man can't do anything. I'm not putting Kevin Durant at the top 5 small forward. I'm not putting him above Havlicek or Elgin Baylor. Guys that went out there and balled and led teams and, like I said, did things. Other things. What does Kevin Durant do other than shoot? He can't block shots or get up and down the court like a Dr. J. He can't rebound like a Larry Bird. He don't have the grit of a Larry Bird, the leadership of a Larry Bird. He can't rebound or go to the hole like an Elgin Baylor could. He's not iconic, right? Like an Elgin Baylor. Elgin Baylor literally gave us Dr. J. I remember Dr. J always talking about how when he was a kid, he was young, he would go outside and try to do what he saw Elgin Baylor doing. Thank you, Elgin Baylor, for giving us Dr. J. Thank you, Dr. J, for giving us Michael Jordan. Thank you, Michael Jordan, for giving us Kobe Bryant. What can you guys say Kevin Durant did for the NBA? Not a damn thing, guys. But he's a top 3 small forward of all time, above Dr. J? Hell no. No way in hell. Above Havlicek or Elgin Baylor? No way, man. I would actually put Kawhi Leonard above Kevin Durant before I put Kevin Durant in a top 3. That makes no sense. Hell no. So as you guys can see, man, maybe you guys agree with me on some of this stuff. Maybe you guys don't. The lists are not horrible lists. To me, the shooting guard list is horrible. When you have James Harden there, that's a horrible list. Horrible list for James Harden to be a top 5 shooting guard. Like I said, when you have a Kevin Durant top 3 small forward of all time, to me, that's insane. Insane. There's nothing to back that up, man. Insane for you to do that. Like I said, the point guards, the centers, the power forwards, they're a little bit there, but not terrible, horrible lists, man, that I'm like, blown away by. I don't know how you can have Shaq above Hakeem Olajuwon or Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell. I just don't even see that, man. I really don't. I guess I don't know how you can have Dirk Nowitzki above Kevin Garnett or Charles Barkley. I just don't see that. Maybe some of you guys do. That's great. Like I said, Dirk's a great player, but I'm just not putting him over Kevin Garnett, man. There's just no way in hell that I could do that. Kevin Garnett's defense and rebounding alone to me was just much superior. Just a much greater overall, all-around player. Like I said, man, and Dirk and these guys are great, man. So you guys know that this is the top 5 all-time in each position based off of, wherever this place came from or this person was. And I wanted to touch on this. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.